Hey guys, today I have a very special video series that I'm starting. We are going to be building an application using React JS and TypeScript. This is going to be an application we build from start to finish. We'll be acting like we're in a front-end developer job. So this will really help you prepare for that job that you're looking for. And the scope of this video we'll have a UX design which will create into an interactive application. This is going to be a very beginner friendly, so we'll also go through the local setup. Then we'll also learn about new HTTP methods. So we'll be using real data in this case. So we need to learn about the HTTP methods in order to get the data. We'll also learn more about TypeScript, so how to use TypeScript and what's the best way of creating web applications using TypeScript. And also front-end stores and contexts. So that you may not know much about this right now, but we'll get more in depth in the later videos. It's basically the state of your application while it's running. And there's also this concept of thinking in React, which is basically what should be a component, what should not be a component, and how best to split your application into multiple different components so that it can be maintainable and also reusable. What we'll actually be building is a weather application. So I've built this UX design in Figma.com, which is free. You can use it to create your own UX designs, but it's basically going to help us know what to build. So if I press this play button, so at first this looks like a very simple web application. We have a hello and a space for the user to type in their name. And we have got a big search bar, so the user can actually find their city. And the idea is they type in their zip code and they get a list of cities that match. And once they press this plus button, they can be presented with the actual homepage, which is the web application. And on the left here, we have the list of cities, the same plus button, which will get them to search. And we've got some weather details in the middle and the city name. And there's also a daily and an hourly view. So in the daily view, we get the next 5 days. And in the hourly, we get at least the next 5 hours. So they can switch between daily and hourly and switch between these cities on the left here. So before we actually start coding, we need to think in terms of React. So the first slide mentioned thinking in React. That's what we'll be doing now. I've got the final prototype here in the background in the form of images. And what we'll do is open the first image, and we need to think about what should actually be a component in this image. So the way I like to do this is basically draw some boxes around the items that I think should be components. So in this case, I can think that this entire hello and the space should be a component so that it has some interaction with the user and also some static text. And the obvious other choice is that the search box should be a component since it's the next item below. But if we look at the search box, it contains something more. It's actually got some search results. So if we save this, open our next photo. So if we look at this picture with the results, the search results, we can see that the search results should be part of the search component. But you can make an argument that the actual search result should be a different component. So we have a classic case of parent and child components here. So we've got one parent component, which is the hello and the space for the user. The other component is this search box component, which includes the search results, but that should actually be a different component because we want to separate that part out so that the search results can be inside of the overall search component. And you could also make this plus button a different component because we saw the same plus button in the next image, which was the daily and the hourly view. So you can see there's a plus button right here. So we could use the same component for that. And I've got some color information here so that we can refer to it later. But there's one thing missing. We are actually going to have another wrapping component which will kind of act as the body or the app component. So this will be our entire application. And inside of the application, we will have the home page or the first starting page, whatever you need to call it. So we have two red boxes here. One is the app, the other is the actual home page. And the home page will change based on what page the user is on. So in this case, that was the home page, and the daily page will be maybe the actual app page. So the app component will not change, but the contents of the app can change. That's how we can componentize this application. And just so we have some more practice, what we can do is just add some more components here just as boxes. So I can see these two being its own component. And inside of that, we will maybe have several children components for the search results. But they probably won't change between the daily and the hourly. They will just remain the same, but with different data. So if we go through this exercise, it's really helpful when we actually start coding. And I'll have all of this information in GitHub, which you can follow down below and click on the link. You can see all the images with all the boxes that I've drawn. And if you have any comments or suggestions how you would draw them or how different your components would be, just list them down below and I would be happy to hear it. So what I've done here is I've put boxes around all of the components that I think are necessary. And I'll just go over some of the ones that were not that obvious. So we have the plus button at the top here, which was in the same home page. So we have, and on the home page, we have the same plus button, which we can reuse. The next one is these high and low temperatures. So as you can see, this high and low temperature can be reused in this simple button here, because the only difference here is this one is vertical and this one is horizontal. So we can reuse this one and add a mode, whether it's vertical or horizontal. And the same thing goes for here. If you can draw a box around something, it's probably going to be a different component. The other thing that you should notice is that the Celsius and the Fahrenheit is a very small component, but it's very crucial because it has some state, whether the application is in Celsius or Fahrenheit, and when you click on it, the whole application will have to react to it. So that's a very important component down here. And in the next video, we'll actually start coding, set up our project, and at least get something on our browser. So look out for that video, and we'll see you next time.